My name is Chloe Richardson, and I am 26 years old. People say daughters are closer to their mothers, but I never had that chance. My mom passed away when I was just 12. That day, something changed in our house. Not just the silence that settled in, but the way my father moved, spoke, and even breathed. His name is Richard, and he is 58 now. He never remarried. Everyone in our small town used to tell him, "Richard, you're still young. You should find someone. You can't raise a daughter alone." But he always smiled and said softly, "No one could ever take her mother's place." He worked as a mechanic in a small auto repair shop on the edge of town. Every morning, before the sun rose, I'd hear the sound of his boots hitting the wooden floor, the soft creak of the door closing, and the old truck engine coughing to life. When I'd wake up, the house would already smell like coffee, the 1 cup he left for himself, and the milk he warmed for me before leaving. My father is not a man of words. He's the kind of man who believes actions speak louder than promises. He never told me, "I love you." He never hugged me for long, but every day he showed it in quiet, invisible ways. When I caught a cold, he'd stay up all night changing wet towels on my forehead. When I was hungry, he'd give me his portion and say, "I already ate." When I cried, he'd sit beside me silently until I stopped. But as I grew older, I didn't see any of that. Teenage me was angry. I wanted a dad who would talk, laugh, take pictures, tell jokes, and say, "You're my princess." My father didn't know how to do that. He didn't know how to express love with words, only with sacrifice. I remember one afternoon when I was 16, I came home from school furious. All my friends were talking about their family vacation plans. One girl said, "Dad's taking us to Florida this summer." Another said, "We're going to Disneyland." When they asked me, I just smiled awkwardly. That day, when I entered our small house, my father was sitting on the floor fixing a broken chair. His hands were black with grease and tiny cuts. I dropped my school bag on the floor and yelled, "Why don't we ever go anywhere? Why can't we have a normal life like everyone else?" He looked up at me with those calm blue eyes, wiped his hands on a rag, and said, "I'm sorry, Chloe. I'll try next time." That made me even angrier. I shouted, "You always say that, but nothing ever changes." Then I slammed my bedroom door. Through the thin wall, I could hear him sigh. That soft, tired sigh I'd grow to recognize years later. The sound of a man who carries more than he can handle but never complains. Years passed. I graduated from high school. My father didn't have much, but he wanted me to go to college. He worked extra hours. He sold his old red pickup truck, the one he loved so much, just so he could buy me a laptop and pay my tuition fees. I remember the day he handed me the laptop. His face lit up like a child's. He said, "Now you can study well, baby girl." And do you know what I said? I didn't say, "Thank you." I just said, "It's already an old model, Dad." If I could go back to that day, I would hug him and never let go. But life doesn't rewind. When I moved to another city for college, I felt free. For the first time, I didn't have anyone asking, "Did you eat?" or "Where are you going?" I thought my father's silence was control. I thought his questions were annoyance. But he called me every single night. Sometimes just to say, "Good night, Chloe." Sometimes just to make sure I had dinner. Sometimes he'd call and say nothing, just breathing softly on the other side. And I'd get irritated and say, "Dad, I'm fine. I'm busy. Don't worry so much." He'd chuckle and say, "Okay, sweetheart, I'm proud of you." Then hang up. I got a job after college in the city. I was doing well, living alone, meeting new people. My father rarely visited. He didn't want to disturb me. Every time I called, he'd say, "I'm okay. Don't worry about me." I believed him. I didn't notice the silence growing longer between us. Then, one winter morning, everything changed. My phone rang at 7 a.m. It was our old neighbor, Mr. Davis. "Chloe," he said in a trembling voice, "your father fainted at work. He's in the hospital." I froze. My hands started shaking. "I'm coming," was all I could say. I took the first bus home. The ride felt endless. The world outside looked gray and lifeless. I stared out the window, thinking about all the calls I ignored, the times I rushed him off the phone. When I reached the hospital, I ran through the hallways. Room 12. There he was, lying in bed, a pale shadow of the man I knew. His hands, once strong and steady, looked fragile. His breathing was slow. The doctor said he'd been working double shifts for years. His blood pressure was high, his heart weak.
"He needs rest," the doctor said. "A lot of it." I sat beside him, holding his hand, and for the first time in years, I cried. Not the kind of cry that comes with fear, the kind that comes with guilt. Guilt for not seeing the love in his silence. Guilt for misunderstanding the way he cared. When he woke up, he looked at me and smiled weakly. "Hey, baby girl, why are you crying?" I could barely speak. "Dad, why didn't you tell me you were this tired?" He smiled again, that same calm smile that held years of strength, and said, "Because I wanted you to have the life I couldn't." Those words shattered me. I realized in that moment that love isn't always loud. Sometimes it's a man fixing your chair when you're asleep. Sometimes it's the sound of a truck leaving before sunrise. Sometimes it's a tired father saving every dollar so his daughter can dream bigger than he ever could. When he came home from the hospital, I stayed with him for weeks. I cooked for him, cleaned the house, and took him for walks. One evening, we sat on the porch, watching the sunset paint the sky in orange and gold. He looked at me and said, "You've grown into a beautiful woman, Chloe. Your mother would be proud." Tears filled my eyes. I said, "She would be proud of you too, Dad." He chuckled, took a sip of his tea, and said, "You sound just like me now, always asking, 'Did you eat?'" I smiled and whispered, "That's the best compliment I've ever received." Since that day, I call him every night, not out of duty, but out of love. Sometimes he talks, sometimes he doesn't, but I don't need words anymore. I understand his silence now. It's full of love, patience, and sacrifice. My father is not a man of many words, but to me, he's the loudest example of what love truly means.